This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel this afternoon. If you're new, welcome in because I imagine this is going to draw some eyes. We've all heard the talk. We've all heard it on Oilers Now, in the Edmonton Journal, all around the world, Elliot Friedman, whatever you might be. Brandon Saad linked to a trade target by the Edmonton Oilers. Now, Ken Holland, I don't know if he's going to do it, but we'll get breaking down the numbers here for the Edmonton Oilers and Chicago Blackhawks for a second. The number one thing you need to know, Brandon Saad carries a cap hit of $6 million for the Chicago Blackhawks right now. If he came to the Oilers, the question is, does he carry that full $6 million, or is there some salary retained to make a transaction happen? Now the problem is, let's just be honest here, the retained salary situation. I did a first record of this and I couldn't remember my point where I was going with talking about Dylan Strome, Dominic Kublik, and Matthew Highmore as RFAs, as well as Slater Kukoc and Eric Gustafsson. And now I'm just butchering names for the heck of it seems. But you get where I'm going. There's a couple of guys that are RFAs, and then they also have to sign some goalies, right? Robin Lehner's on a $5 million expiring deal this year. Corey Crawford's on his expiring deal. He's 35. Don't know what he's going to do, but you kind of see right there. Brandon Saad is the biggest number outside of Taves and Kane left. Now that you've got Brent Seabrook on the IR, you've got Kelvin Dehan on the IR, you've got Andrew Shaw on the LTIR, and Drake Caggiula is on the LTIR as well. So, that said, they've got some LTIR money to use up as well. They've got about $12 million remaining, which means, okay, let's sit here, talk about it for a second, is you got $12 million in LTIR cap space. You've got only, let's see here, only 3 guys in your forward core outside of Saad and Caggiula right now who are on the LTIR. And Shaw, I guess. Shaw as well. So you've got 3 guys all said and done outside of... man, brutalizing it. Let me get back to this. You've got 4 guys. You've got Shaw, Saad, and then you've got Zach Smith. Those are your 3 guys, I guess, making more than $1.5 million per year that aren't Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane for the Chicago Blackhawks. So you see where I'm going is there is some room, especially if we take out a Brandon Saad, for the Oilers to get an opportunity to maybe retain some cap space if they make the right move, and of course get Brandon Saad for a reasonable price. Now the one thing we'll get to here in a second is I'll show you Saad's stats, because here's the thing, I really don't think the guy has as much value as one might think, and when it comes to those draft picks, there might be something to be done if we can load up the right way. So for the Oilers, this guy, looking at him as a trade target, he's on pace for like 42 points this season. Nothing too special right there, but again, for the Oilers, that's a huge get. So don't get me wrong, it's not special across the league, not really worth $6 million, but at the same rate, it wouldn't be too bad because you've got yourself a guy who can score with Nugent Hopkins and Neal, and let me tell you how handy would that be, especially, let me double check Brandon Saad here for a second. He is, let me get on his hockey reference here. He is, yeah, it depends how many games he misses, I guess, but he's a left-hand shot, so again, another complication there is another left-hand shot into the lineup, but okay, whatever. I was hoping he was a right-hand shot. I didn't have that there. So, okay, you've seen the stats, the number. We need to get to the 82 CPA. If you're new to the channel and missed all of Dolany TV in the summer, you wouldn't know what 82 CPA stands for. It stands for 82 game career production average. That being points per game, right? That's your points per game over your career, all the games in your career, times 82 games. That's what you get. So it's 82 game career production average, 82 CPA, gets you 49 points for Brandon Saad. That's where we're kind of sitting in that 42 range this year. So now let's talk about it. You know what? We've rambled on here for 4.5 minutes. Is the simple fact of, is this going to work? Well, for the Oilers, unless you can get the Blackhawks to retain $3 million in salary, you're going to have to do some big giving up. But if you can get that $3 million in retained salary, you can get some deals done, right? Obviously, you think about it straight across, even if you want the Blackhawks to retain $2.85 million in salary straight across Sam Gagner for Brandon Saad with a second round pick in 2021. And I don't know, like, there's some rookies that we could possibly look at talking about, right? I don't know if you'd talk maybe a Kirill Maximov, somebody like that for the Blackhawks. You could potentially do it, right? That second round pick might be enough to get Brandon Saad off the books if Chicago wants to go a different way rather than go with Saad, but it's a question of how do the Blackhawks set up? Like I said, let's go back to that cap-friendly page for a second. He's their third highest paid player at this point, realistically, outside of Brent Seabrook, who's now on the LTIR. He's third highest on the team, third highest rated forward. And you look at the forwards they have on this current team: Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, Zach Smith, Ryan Carpenter, David Kampf, Kirby Dach, Dominic Kubliak, Alexander Nylander, Dylan Strome, Alex DeBrincat, Matthew Highmore, John Quenneville, Dylan Sikora. That's what you've got in the NHL right now. And then in the AHL, you've got Anton Wedin, Brandon Hagel, Reese Johnson, Philip Karashev, Tim Soderlund, Michael Harkarainen, right? Mackenzie Entwistle, who's supposed to be pretty good coming up, Nathan Noel, Alexander Fortin, Joseph Camarosa, and Jacob Nielsen. So unless they've got some unsigned guys that I really just haven't seen yet, there really isn't that much, right, hype in the system. There might be on some of those guys. Maybe I just don't know. But adding a Kirill Maximov to the deal might work. But if you're going to do Kirill Maximov and give up a second round pick, that's costly. And we're not talking a second round pick this draft. That's the other side to it, and that's why you almost have to throw in Kirill Maximov, is the fact that we'd be talking a second round pick in 2021, right? Matt mentioned it, is the simple fact 2021 draft doesn't look good. It's just because the 2020 draft looks so great. But you look at it from the other perspective, Holland's already said pretty much straight up draft picks are off the table for this draft. You are not trading the draft picks for this draft. It seems at this point. We'll see what happens at the deadline. Now, okay, that's a problem because, alright, say the draft pick is off the table even in 2021. The Oilers, to get that retained, Kirill Maximov plus what, plus Sam Gagner, gets you that money? That's the question, right? And if you have Brandon Saad at $3.15 million for next year, and all you had to give up is one of our guys drafted in the lower rounds, plus Sam Gagner and maybe a second round pick to correct the problem that was that Peter Chiarelli, Jordan Eberle for Ryan Strome trade, well, realistically, guys, where we've been to where we've gone, right? You think about the path, how it went from Eberle to Strome to Spooner, Spooner to Gagner, and all you have to do is add a little bit to get a Brandon Saad back, which is essentially just a little bit less, a left-handed shot Jordan Eberle kind of deal. Well, in terms of second line wing position, maybe it's okay. And I'm not saying it is okay, because obviously we just shouldn't have done it in the first place. But you see, it's a very complicated question. That $6 million cap hit really calls it into question. And then the value alone asks yourself kind of, what can the Oilers do to secure Brandon Saad if they want to? And of course, realistically, I don't think it's happening. I think it's just a guy's looking like he's available, so the Oilers have inquired, right? The Oilers inquired on Taylor Hall. Did we get him? No. The Oilers have inquired on a lot of guys, right? The rumor all season since about mid-October has been the Oilers have inquired on Tyler Toffoli. Have the Oilers acquired Tyler Toffoli? No. Right? There you go. So that's the way you look at it, is during the course of the year this is going to come up several times, and that's why I try not to do it every time. But you know what, Brandon Saad, kind of that same Jean-Gabriel Pageau type quality player that we do have to talk about. Now, if I see something a little bit more substantial on Tyler Toffoli here, I think after Mr. Elliot Friedman talking to the Oilers now about it, I may have to do a video, and we'll be talking about trading within the division to Todd McLellan and the LA Kings, and I ain't a fan, man, but we'll have to discuss it. But okay, let's get back to Brandon Saad here. The good, bad, the ugly. He's a goal scorer. He's had some goals in his career. Right now, sitting on a total of 159 in 566 games. 11 goals in 36 games for the Chicago Blackhawks this season. The last stat I need to throw at your way is the simple stat of where that would rank for the Edmonton Oilers and their team right now as it stands in terms of goal scoring. Goal scoring, he would be 5th on the team in goal scoring with 11 if Brandon Saad were to be acquired as of today. So that's an interesting note for sure. I mean, James Neal almost has 20 goals. He had a hat trick last night. He's 1 goal shy of 20 goals. And if he does it in 43 games, that's some stuff, man. That's some stuff. I've seen some stuff. But you look at it this way too, is the Oilers, they're starting to pick it up a little bit as well in terms of the point production. Is you've got now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys above the 10-point mark, which for a while really wasn't looking that good. Alex Chiasson on at 12. That seems shocking to me a little bit, but you get where I'm going there. And things, I think the biggest positive is Josh Archibald and Riley Sheehan starting to pick it up as well. But what do you think? I've just kind of listed the problems with the Oilers roster there a little bit. Tell me, if the Oilers were to acquire Brandon Saad, if the cost is right, if it's good, would you go for it? Or what would be your cost? That's kind of the question with these, is what is your cost to acquire Brandon Saad? And let's try to be as down-to-earth, realistic about it, right? I said you got to do it right. You got to get the cap space. You got to get everything. Let's not live in fairy tale world. Let's get it right. I cannot talk this episode. Guys, I'm Tyson, this is All on TV. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let you debate it. Definitely consider hitting that subscribe button if you're new. Like I said, would appreciate to have you along the rest of the season because, guys, we're back in a playoff spot. Let me tell you, go race into April, shall we? I'm up on out of here.